r/AskReddit. What's a moment with a friend where you just had enough of their bullshit? Back in high school there was a girl in my group of friends that was ultra snooty rich girl. Her daddy owned 4 Burger Kings and she let everyone know about it. No one actually liked her, but she was so controlling and manipulative that she never got told off. Now back in high school I had a small t-shirt company and I was talking to my friends about general cost, etc. Well, little Miss Rich pipes up and starts claiming that I'm paying too much and that I don't even know how it works because she looked it up 2 years ago out of curiosity. Keep in mind I had already made shirts, so I knew my shit at that point. I stood up and said, ultra snooty rich girl, just because your daddy owns 4 Burger Kings doesn't make you better than us. I know $XXX isn't very much money to you, but for the people that have to actually work for their money it is. I don't like you, and I hope that you figure out how to be a better person. Walked out and stopped caring so much what my friends think. I had a friend in middle school who was always kind of a dick, but that's what you did in middle school, right? You were mean to each other. Well, high school rolled by and he ended up staying out of school for chronic headaches. We still played Sparks Live a lot and he was one of my most consistent people I played video games with. Still kind of a dick, but we were close and hung out a lot. When I got a car and could come visit him after school and on the weekends. College rolls around and I ended up having a lot less time to play video games. Soul Calibur V comes out and he ends up getting really pissy because I only played Nightmare because frankly he was way better at the game than I was because he was still living at home playing video games all day and Nightmare was the only character I had a chance with. This was sophomore year of college and I think it was at that point that I realized we had just grown way too far apart. I had grown up a lot in college and he was still stuck in middle school mode of shitting on your friends as a primary source of interaction. It was when I started making friends in college that I realized that not all friendships needed to be that mean. You know that friend? The one who asks you for favors and you're happy to oblige because that's what friends do. Yeah. I asked him for a favor after dropping my plans numerous times to help him. He agrees. We make plans. He conveniently forgets. No big deal. FFWD a few months. I've helped him a few more times. I asked him to help me move a shelf from my garage to my living room the following weekend. He says sure. I confirm plans a few times with him as the week progresses. Friendly reminders were still on for this weekend, right? Kinda thing. To which he agrees. The following weekend arrives. I text him saying LMK, when you are on the way. No response. Day moves into evening. I call him, and here nah man, maybe tomorrow. I got plans with the GF for dinner tonight with her family. Okay. Tomorrow arrives. Text again and get the response that has helping his GF's family do something. Okay, sure, let me know when you're done. His reply is that it'll take all day. Work up motivation to attempt moving it myself and get on Facebook to see that he just posted something. His post, I'm bored. Anyone down to hang out? I commented, you could help me like we planned. He deleted the post and I never heard from him again. I never tried calling him either. That's when I decided not to help others that won't do the same for me. Edit. I know this kind of thing seems cheesy to some, but I just wanted to say thank you all for your replies. It does make me feel better that I'm not alone when confronted with people like this. I've had enough people tell me that I'm an asshole for the fair with the friends are not friends mentality that I kinda accept it as a fact that maybe I'm one. Edit part 2. Electric Boogaloo. It seems I have misspoken about the term fair with a friend. I meant it as someone who is only your friend because it benefits them, but is never actually there for you when you're in a jam. I'm being told that this kind of person is a douchebag friend. My apologies for any confusion. Similar story here. I still miss my former best friend. We had a lot of good times, and she is the person I've had the most fun with. Haven't really laughed with anyone like I used to laugh with her. We just shared a very similar sense of humor. The thing is, she always expected me to be there for her. and I had no problem with it, but it always just felt like I wasn't getting any of it back when I was going through some stuff. She also liked to compare our problems. She sometimes asked for money, and at first I had no problem with it, but eventually I figured out she wouldn't pay back, so I stopped giving her money. No big deal. I was just politely refusing every time. We were planning to go on a round trip with my friends, and she said that we should split the gasoline bill etc, which I was really happy about. Well, everyone else paid, me including, and I had to ask her for the money around 10 times. I did get the money, but this started happening pretty often. She also asked me to drive her to the furniture store to get something, but never offered to pay me anything. We lived pretty far away from each other, so I was expected to also go and get her, drive her to the store, back to her place, and I would still need to drive back home myself. I refused, and I'm glad I did. The thing that really made me end the friendship was the way she treated me and our mutual friend in the end. We had a pretty solid group of best friends. She would always talk about this one friend in a very awful way, but I just thought she was frustrated and didn't really think that way. If I said anything, even some minor things about the same friend, she would tell her, and then I had to apologize to them both. And I know the things I said when I was angry were wrong things to say. There's nothing I can defend myself. I was a shitty friend too. It was a shit show. She didn't know how to apologize. I don't think she ever has. She constantly changed plans without asking. Sometimes she wouldn't answer to my calls and texts if she was having a bad day and we had plans. All I would have needed was some kind of confirmation that she couldn't see me on those days, that would been fine, so I could have made other plans instead, but I usually waited until the evening, and it was already too late. Every time we met, I had to wait and see how she was feeling. Sometimes she was super happy and energetic. Sometimes she barely answered if asked something. It felt like I had to be on the edge constantly with her mood swings. These are just minor things, but she was so manipulative and made me feel like shit if I didn't do like she wanted. In the end it wasn't that bad, but it felt very toxic, and after cutting her out of my life, even my mental health has improved a lot. Sorry for the long response, had to get this out. Edit. Huge thank you for everyone that has replied. Feels nice to know I'm definitely not alone with this. Same kind of story. One of the guys I went to school with, we were friends, went to school together since we were 4. I did a lot of stuff to help him, to the point that before either of us learned to drive, when his kinda maybe girlfriend took an overdose, my mother took us up to the hospital at 11:30 at night so he could be there for her because his parents wouldn't. Then one day we'd arranged for him to come over to mine. Nothing onerous, just a video game night. Spoke to him at 6:30. He said he was gonna eat dinner at 7 and would be at mine by 7:30. 7:30 rolls round. 7:45. Text him. 8 o'clock. Try calling him. Try a couple more times, then give up at about 9 o'clock. Literally never heard from him. I ran into him in the street randomly about 8 months later. He greets me and asks what I've been up to. I gave some non-committal answer and he goes, I can't remember the last time we talked. Being a little ticked off, I said, well, the last time we talked was when you said I'll be at yours at 7:30. That was about 8 months ago. He kinda stutters, then admits that one of his other mates, a guy who was a total jackass, a bully and such an asshole that, even though he was a solid A/B student, the teachers didn't like him, had called him up and asked him if he wanted to go out to a club. He'd said yes, because alcohol was involved, and never even bothered to text me, then just deleted the texts I'd sent him that night. Friend wanted help to move to a new apartment. He arranged for movers to move the furniture, but wanted me and my van to move some stuff he considered too fragile for the movers. My job was very busy, and I tried to get out of it, but he and his wife begged and cajoled. Okay. I worked a double shift on Friday to get Saturday off, and turned up Saturday morning to help. My friends were still asleep in bed. They hadn't packed anything, and the movers were coming in 3 hours. Oh, they are also unemployed, and had plenty of time to pack. but were just too fucking lazy. So I spent 3 hours helping them pack all their shit in boxes. When that's done, I spend the next 8 hours carrying and loading stuff into my van, drive 20 miles to the new place and unload 3 van loads. Eventually it dawns on me their shit is not fragile, it's ordinary household stuff. They just used me as free labor. The movers charged by the hour and had a big truck that they didn't fill. They had the room and the manpower and could have easily loaded up all the stuff I moved and drove for $100 extra. I calculate my 12 hours of work, 150 miles of driving, includes driving to the friend's house, saved my useless cheap ass friend about $100. He didn't pay for gas or food or anything. Totally fucking useless tool, and I never helped him out again. Fucking hell. This same BS happened with my boyfriend's mom. She announced she was moving to our city and had 2 months to pack. As a welcome gift, I paid for a moving truck for her. The day she goes to pick it up, she announces that she won't actually need it for a few more days. They have to finish packing. Which sucks, because we can't return the truck, and it costs an extra $140 per day to use, but I can handle 2 more days of it. Then Sunday, the night before she was supposed to move, my BF and I went to her house to help load the heavier boxes. More than 2/3 of the shit wasn't even packed. So, I run into town to grab boxes and start running stuff, and half an hour later I realize that I'm the only one packing boxes. She and her daughters were too anxious and sad to pack, and my BF was trying to get them to get the fuck off their asses, and so some fucking work. Jesus, I almost stroked out. I love my BF and his mom and sisters are good people, but fuck them for that. And fuck them for all being too fucking unmotivated to make even the tiniest changes that would improve their life. Fuck his mom for being 45 and not having a job because she still doesn't know what she wants to do. And fuck his sisters both for being too anxious to get jobs. You are 22 fucking years old, either get an education or get a fucking job. On second thought, I might still be too angry to talk about this calmly. In high school, my friend always claimed to sleep with so many women. He would point at random hot girls in public and be like, yeah, that's Amanda, I slept with her, and I would just have to take his word for it. It was always at convenient times, like when we are pulling away on a bus or train while she is outside, so the random girls could never verify the account. One day we were standing on a train platform and he pulls this shit again and points at a random hot girl. That's Becky. She goes to my high school. We slept together. I was having no more of this shit. Well, let's go say hi, I said to my friend as I started walking in her direction. That's when my friend suddenly becomes panicked and is trying to stop me frantically. I continue on. Becky, hi. I'm asterisk s friend, as I point to my friend who is beet red with embarrassment. This girl stares at us in utter confusion. My name isn't Becky. Who are you guys? I just said, thank you, that will be all. My pal swears to this day that he just made a mistake and only thought that she was his friend. But he stopped doing it. He was a sometimes friend. He'd only text if his other friends that he was closer with were busy and he was bored. I'd invite him to stuff and he would say maybe because he was always looking for something else to do that was better, and then if he couldn't find anything he would come. I was fine with it for a long time because it's not like we were super close or anything. But what pushed me over the edge was that he got legit mad at me for not playing a video game with him because he was bored, and I told him I simply didn't want to play the game he was playing. He said, good luck getting me to play with you in the future. I replied K and haven't talked to him since. I had a friend who was obsessed with height. He would constantly bring up how tall he was in comparison to other people and gleefully point out shortness in others. His fixation on this and the way he took in social cues made me suspect he had some level of Asperger's, but I digress. I have dwarfism, so I'm only 4 foot tall, and this guy loved that. He would point out times when I looked particularly short or when I would struggle to do something because of my height. It was just this tone deaf thing he would do, and my friends and I just kinda ignored it. There was one time when he picked me up without warning as a joke, and I made it very clear how much I hated it when people do that. It felt like a disregard of my autonomy, and I asked him firmly to never do it again. Then one day, we had class, and the classroom it was in had changed. I hadn't been told this, so I was on my way to the wrong place, walking along the main busy corridor, when my friend came up behind me, yanked me off my feet, and started carrying me, and said, "Oh no you don't." Everyone was staring, and I felt humiliated. I twisted around until he dropped me and just lost my shit at him right there. I think that is honestly one of the only times I've lost my temper and actually yelled. I'm not an angry person, but on that day, I was livid. He just thought it was funny, so that was it. He wasn't my friend after that. It has been 6 years now. I had a few friends who were simply two-faced. To your face, they were the nicest people around, but behind your back they'd shit talk you, spread rumors, leak closed Facebook posts or private chat logs to try and make you look bad, edit comments after you responded, so it looks like you had a heated response, something innocent, etc. They were exceedingly fun people to be around, and that helped mask that they were playing mind games. They'd always be trying to set people up for an emotional response so they can go look at what he said. I started catching on after I noticed people started attacking one another, myself included. People would know about things I said in private, and I ended up getting heavily involved in drama because of it. I let my guard down, and they abused my trust and convinced me to play the game back without me realizing it. Charisma can be strangely influencing. I ended up backing off and just walked away. They were truly toxic, erosive people. Never spoke to any of the people involved with that group again. Basically had to clean house, purge friends. Couldn't trust anyone associated with the entire crew. We worked together. My husband herniated a disc in his neck. When I told her I had to leave to take him to the ER because he couldn't drive, he was in so much pain. She got mad at me and said, "Do you know the position that leaves me in? We are not supposed to be by ourselves. We answer phones all day. Other people were there that could help." She said the only way I could leave was if I called our boss, who was on vacation, and I was already working it out with a person in charge that day, and ask if I could leave to take him to the ER. Mind you, she took off at least one day every other week, without notice, to go get shots for her back issues. Now, someone who has back issues should know good and damn well how painful and possibly serious a herniated disc can be. Needless to say, we are no longer friends. She got fired for her BS 5 days later. It wasn't the first time. She had apparently been causing issues before I started, and I had no idea. I'm now manager at the company in the position she wanted. I haven't spoken to her too much about this, but I'd really appreciate some thoughts on this. I don't know if it's unreasonable for me to be upset, but everyone in my life has had enough of this person at this point. I have a friend who I'll call Hannah. Hannah and I have been friends for a while, but have gotten a lot closer in the past 6 months. She comes over every weekend and our friend group has kickbacks every weekend. Initially, this was fine, and she was really respectful towards my family and my house. But lately, I just get annoyed by the time she leaves, and here's why. I spend hours cleaning beforehand and preparing everything, and she knows this and has never offered help. She invites herself over as well as others. Even though it's my house, she dictates who can and can't come. I invited the guy I like to this weekend kickback, and she said she didn't want him there. However, she invites people without checking with me or telling me. This weekend 7 people I've never hung out with are coming over because she invited all of them and didn't even check with me. She leaves her shot glasses full of spit and other gross stuff in my room, and my dad has seen. But here's what really gets me. She leaves with clothes I never let her borrow and always accidentally packs some of my belongings. Every weekend, I text her, "Did you by any chance take on accident?" And every weekend, she did. She's always having breakdowns at my house and crying, and her girlfriend has to come over and console her, and my family's had enough. Last weekend, she said the full-size day bed was too small for her because she starfishes, and insisted that I make the blow-up mattress for her at 1 AM when I was much drunker than she was. She serves herself a shit ton of food and doesn't eat any of it, and uses all the expensive dishes and chips them. Her and her girlfriend have sex on our expensive dining room table that was a family heirloom. She's done much more than this too, but I don't want to make this too long. She admits to being manipulative, and it's becoming very clear. I'm not sure if I'm overreacting to this situation, and I've tried to talk to her about it, but she just apologizes and does it again. Any thoughts would be really appreciated. My ex-best friend got kicked out of his house and lived with me and my mom for 3 months. He didn't have a job, license, and the only thing he contributed to the household was cleaning every now and then. I drove him everywhere, and he never gave me gas money. etc. Just a huge freeloader basically. One day he was at another friend's house and asked me to do his laundry for him. I said back quote, "No, I'm not touching your dirty, cum-stained underwear. Do it when you come back." And he got pissed at me. He literally said, I quote, "It's the least you could do for me." I said, "The least I could do for you?" And then I went on to tell him I'm not his fucking mom. I don't have to do his laundry for him, and told him he could find somewhere else to stay. It was almost a year ago, and we still haven't hung out since. He moved in with another friend before their mom kicked him out 2 weeks later because he refused to get a job and contribute to rent. Also, he asked said friend's mom for $700 to pay off a school debt. Didn't really make it seem like he would be paying her back. She said no. I have so many more examples of irritating shit he did when he lived with me, but it's way too much to type out. I had a friend at college, let's call her X, who was extremely nosy and clingy. I had only been friends with her for a few months when she started claiming me as her best friend. Her nosiness knew no bounds. One day in class, we were doing a little poster exhibit. The lecturer would stop and ask us each to explain a few things about the poster, then write down a grade for each person on his clipboard. We were only supposed to find out our grades later, but X went around offering to help some of us check our grades by peeking over the lecturer's shoulder at the grade sheet. I told her I didn't want her to do this, but then while I was busy giving my little talk, she ignored my wishes and peeked at my grade anyway. I was really mad. We met for dinner together shortly after that, and she started digging into my background. Now I'm fairly well off, although I don't talk about it in real life and I avoid blatantly flashing my money around. But I guess she sensed that I'm well off, so she started asking me all these nosy questions. She wanted to know how much money I was making at the time, how much money my parents were making. She then said she had seen my uncle's profile picture on Facebook and said he looked important and asked me if that was true, and so on. I was just like, WTF. In the end, the next time she wanted to meet up with me, I told her I didn't want to meet up. I'd had enough of her nosiness and suffocating lack of boundaries. When I was 18, I was dating this amazing guy who sadly ended up passing away the day before my high school graduation. My BFF of 10 years was supportive until her shitbag boyfriend said there's no way I'd be able to love someone as fast as I did. Now a good friend would say it's none of his business and leave it be. Nope, my BFF decided to agree with him. After she dated and loved so many asshats in like days who treated her like shit. Yet I, someone who's never felt love from anyone else in my life because my self-esteem was such shit and she knew it, finally finds someone and he fucking dies. I don't think falling for someone in 6 months is fast for falling in love. He was amazing, and if it wasn't for him, I would be who I'm today. Because of that, our friendship went to hell. I never realized how much of a doormat I was to her and let her treat me like shit all the time. Then she went too far and destroyed my boyfriend's favorite shirt I always saw him in. And by destroy I mean covered in mustard. Ketchup. Old pictures of us. White Sharpie saying things like where's the pills bitch, I killed myself to get away from you, and so on. She cut it to pieces and then her boyfriend and his other guy friend jerked off on it. This was my BFF I knew since the 4th grade. Someone I always thought had my back. Someone who we joked about being in each other's weddings and having kids grow up together. Having wheelchair races in the nursing home. Until her evilness was put towards me, I never realized how shit of a person she really was. Thank you so much for watching the whole video. Please leave a like and subscribe.